We're live.
You're like, and now.
There it is. Let me see. All right. Okay. Welcome to Monday Madness with Brittani and Becca. Hi, Becca.
What's up, Brittany?
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is good to see. It's nice to see the people that you talk with all the time about projects. It is, in fact, a plus.
It is nice. I wrote a little sequence for singing bowls to get us started. This is for connection, communication, and creativity. That's what I did it for. So, yeah, I think I'll just do it before he comes.
That's totally fine. Have at it, man. The full moon's coming. This is a good time.
We're going to talk about a few things. We do have a special guest, which will be on in a few minutes, and I'm just going to lead in with singing bowls right now. That's what's happening, y'all. All right. Okay. Can you hear that?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Can you hear my cat meowing?
Yes.
Without fail.
She wants to be aligned too. Come on.
Yeah, she would be the cat that would be aligned.
I do these before all of our sessions, all of our videos, and
Yeah.
but I thought I'd just start sharing it with other people too. The third eye.
Yeah, 444.
Oh, nice.
Couldn't have timed that any better.
That is awesome.
Yes.
All right. Whew. Okay. That felt nice. I like that.
Yeah, that was nice.
Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Monday Madness with Brittani and Becca. We are so excited that you are all joining us today. Today we have a very special guest, Sean B. W. Parker, who is an incredible artist, musician, and political commentator who brings a fresh perspective to everything he touches. We will dive into his journey and his thoughts and so much more right now.
You're like, right this second.
Actually, I want to talk about some announcements from Zarlaquan. We are growing as a community for indie creators, and we're excited to invite more filmmakers, musicians, and artists to join us. We have free, non exclusive options for sharing your work. We have coaching, courses, and support for your creative journey. Visit us at zarlaquan.com to learn more and become part of the movement. And Becca is going to share a little bit of what's going on with Secrets of the Warrior, our exciting film that we're in the process. We're in pre-production.
Yeah, well, we're in many phases at once. To be honest, we're like our hands in every phase. I actually had a small meeting with one of my team members. I don't know what to call her. She's part of the team for Secrets of the Warrior. We're actually looking to do some fundraising to get it off the ground a little bit because we need to get some investments. We have some investments already in place, but we need some additional investments to make it happen. And we're talking with breweries in some popular areas in Pennsylvania to help us raise that. So I'll have more information coming up soon about a date if you're local in the King of Prussia area of Pennsylvania. You can come and help support this indie feature film that has a fantastic team and fantastic worldwide range of actors that will be. We're filming in Sweden, and it's getting international recognition because of the message behind it. So if you want to support us, stay tuned for more information about that.
You can go to RebeccaHeight.com.
Yes, thank you.
Follow on any of the social medias. There is Secrets of the Warrior feature film on IG. I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, Secrets of the Warrior feature film. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Then all of that's on the website as well. RebeccaHeight.com. Do you want to tell people a little bit about our short film, the last?
Last check-in.
I keep wanting to say. Stop with the.
Yeah. Every time you pause, I can like hear you being like, "What? Which one is it?"
I'm gonna say it wrong again.
The last stop. Oh no, the last check-in.
The last T-shirt.
The last check-in is about. It's set in the 1990s, and it's set in a hotel. It's going to be filmed in one location, and it's about an early 20s bisexual who has a medical condition that prevents her from really traveling too far from her family. Her family runs the hotel, and there's this mysterious thing happening around her health, and guests that check in don't always leave, and there's very mysterious, and it's a psych thriller suspense. So you find out exactly like why she's the way she is, and also what's happening with the people that disappear.
Nice.
Is she involved or is she not? Is it a mystery? Does she know what's going on? We'll find out.
Oh, you know what I can do? Hold on a second. Sometimes I get smart. I don't know.
Did you see Sometimes I Get Smart?
I just said sometimes I get smart.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's what I heard. Sometimes my brain's like, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's good. Me. I'm there. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. I'm trying to share. Yes. If you go to the YouTube here, I'll send it to you. You can share this. to bring people.
Oh, is it a link?
Yeah, to share like on other socials. I need to come back here. There I am. Okay. Oh, and there he. Okay, yay! Let's see if it'll let
Hello.
me. Oh no, the other one was better. Wait. Yeah, that's better. Hello,
Hi
Sean
there. Hi, Brittany.
B.W. Parker is with us. Yay!
Hi, Rebecca.
Hello. How are
Oh.
you today? It's the evening for you, I believe.
It is. It's just about to be 7 o'clock. So yeah. Midwinter.
I would be so tired. Props to you.
No problem at all.
Awesome. Okay.
Just getting
So-
technology. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Britt.
It was okay. Today we have Sean B.W. Parker is an incredible artist. He's a musician and political commentator who brings a fresh perspective to everything he touches. We're going to dive into his creative journey and his thoughts on art and so much more right now. Welcome, Sean.
Hi, Brittany. Thank you very much for that. Lovely to be here.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your journey as an artist and musician? What inspired you to even begin creating?
Well, I've been going in art, I suppose, all of my life, or since I was about 14. Just discovering at school when I was academic enough, but not very engaged in the whole thing. What the problem was is that I had a very active imagination, and that was more enjoyable than algebra. So it started back then, and then I went to art school later on as a mature student. Actually, I went back at 22 for 5 years, did a master's in fine art, and I've kept going ever since in the writing or in art itself or music. And this picture behind me is one of mine, as we've talked about before.
Mm-hmm. We have. I like his art. I've seen you posting other pieces of art as well. But yeah, that's a beautiful one. Yeah.
Thank you.
You just also didn't you just release a new book?
Well, yeah. It's not actually released. It's a pre-order.
Okay.
It's called Court Painter to the Counterculture. It's a collection of work I've been doing for about 5 years. Sort of portraits of people in culture, like sort of Joanna Williams, the British writer, or Scott Adams, the Dilbert cartoonist. People, to Johnny Depp's in there somewhere. People who find themselves in tricky places in culture inspire me to paint them. However, that is. So I paint them, and they've been very popular on X and elsewhere online. And the Snap Collective, which is a indie publisher based in Germany, offered me the chance to go out to publish a book this year. And so it's in the pre-order stage right now. It's all prepared to go, but it needs a certain amount of pre-orders before they go full publish. So we're working on that right now, pre-Christmas, with the hope that we'll get it to that place that it needs to be.
That's awesome. Well, I have faith in you.
Thank you.
You are you're an artist across many mediums. Like how do you choose which one you're working on today?
However I'm feeling at the time, with an element of what's working, what goes down well with the public. I can't pretend that I just work in a vacuum. It's not. I've admitted to myself that it's not done until it's consumed and talked about, understood, dissected. That's like the end part of the art, which is very much conceptual art in itself. I'm not a conceptual artist, but I appreciate that there's a journey of these things. We're not in ivory towers. We haven't got the luxury to be. So it's like the algorithm dictates many things, as we know. And it also, and I listen. I like listening. I like hearing what people think about something. I don't necessarily change what I'm doing because of it. I just like hearing it. And that can possibly inform what comes next. And, a discourse around the work is what they call it in art circles. I don't call it that. I call it, the end of a piece of art. So, what was your question? Yeah, it's like that's how I try and decide what to do at the time. Is what have I done last? What am I going to do next? And how am I feeling? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel weird to do consecutively two things at once? Like, is it like I'm also a writer and artist and painter and etc. But like if you do a painting and it's received well by the public and they're like, you know, clamoring to get your painting and you still get in the you're still in that vibe to do it. So how do you know, like do you sometimes let that go and do it for you? Like it'd be like, oh, the painting didn't do well, but I still have it in me to paint some more. I didn't do everything I wanted to do.
I never get anyone clamoring. That would be lovely. I want some more clamoring in my life. As far as I know, I don't know. There might be. I try to work out where those good vibes are coming from. If they're just trying to be nice and supportive, it's nice, but it doesn't have the value of someone you don't know saying, "Oh my God, have you seen this bloke's work?" Where it does have a value. Unfortunately, that has more of an impact in. To be honest, you know, because people will want to be nice to people that they know and their friends, and that's fine and lovely. But you want the approval of strangers. I don't want the approval of anybody, but you know, the approval of strangers is kind of cool and kind of different, and like they just like the stuff itself. So to answer you, I don't want to do like loads and loads of things at the same time, but I can do 2. I wouldn't do 3 because then you're stretching a bit too much. I've got an album coming out at the beginning of next year, so we've been doing this book and this album pretty much in tandem for a couple of months. So you know, that's how I manage it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that answer.
Thank you.
I don't think you've heard his music, Becca. I love it. It reminds me of back in my day, like back in LA, like some old like garage rock and stuff.
I gotcha.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Garage rock. Thank you.
Yeah.
There was actually a Spotify Unwrapped thing that they put out this morning that I shared, giving you all the stats of your last year. It's quite interesting when you don't know who's listening and where. That they say you've been listening to 35 times in Azerbaijan. You're like, excellent. Very glad to hear that. I wonder how it's gone down. You know.
That's so cool. I look at that stuff all the time. I'm like, oh, interesting. So Germany thinks I'm okay. All right.
Well, you know exactly, Brittany. Like when I was 14 or 13, I was on a skiing trip into Italy. So I think it was going down the slopes. I'm not a rich person like going on a skiing trip every year. It was a very special occasion, so I felt really lovely doing this with my headphones on, with a Walkman. They were quite new back then, right, in the 80s, and I was listening to, I think it was The Cure. And I just had this very magical experience of skiing down these things, listening to The Cure in my headphones, and going, if I can ever give this to anybody else in my life, I've achieved it. I've done it. It's just that one moment of joy that The Cure have accidentally given me then. If someone, and who knows, those Azerbaijani listening to my thing, or wherever they are, they like that one song, have no idea who I am. And if it's moved them and given them some joy, job done, isn't it? We're just never going to know about it, you know?
Yeah. That's absolutely true. And that's why we're doing it. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Can you tell it what has been your most rewarding project that you've worked on so far?
Ever. I think that's really hard because there's been quite a lot. And the reward for the public, or for me, when it comes to the public, let's say Compelling Speech, which is the book I published in 2023, which is Compelling Speech, The Stammering Enigma. So it's about stammering, which I am. And it's a lot about that in like 100 pages. It's the most sort of serious book that I've done, in the sense that it's talking about something, a condition, and cultural aspects and all that. And it got some great reviews. It was very well received. It's not a worthy book. It's not like look at me. I'm a real work of worthiness, because I don't work that way. But it kind of had that effect, because a stammer can give people a lot of grief. But I sort of treat it with a lot of black humor in there. It got some great reviews. It was really, it's been my biggest seller, which is, not J.K. Rowling, but it was very good for me. And it's like, wow, well, the public seem to have liked that. Well done me, well done it. I won't be doing it again, because I've said everything about stammering, I think, in that book, unless I get a clamour, Rebecca, who knows? If a clamour happens, I'll respond to the clamour. But right now, I was just very happy for that to go out there. And yeah, so I suppose that was it was a companion piece to a TED talk I did sort of 10 years before, 2013 in Istanbul called Stammering and Creativity. So I had the TED Talk in 13 and then this book in 2023. And I'm like, wow, I think I've done a good bit of work on the subject of stammering here. So I guess it could be that.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know what? I want to talk about your creative process. I make music too, but I always like to hear what is your creative process to get into the music making?
Just like the painting, I try to see what's around, what I've got to hand, whatever the canvas or the paper or the card is around me, in front of me, in my studio or in the place where I go and work. I gather stuff up like some sort of a tinker of the old days, wondering, what's about. And depending on what's gone well recently, I will start to use the materials there. I'll do a sketch and then go into the acrylics and into watercolors. I tend to throw everything out of work unless I want to go deliberately minimal, when I'll be deliberately minimal, which is unusual these days, unfortunately. Working back towards that, I tend to just chuck everything at it and trust it to fate and to skills that I've accidentally acquired. So that with but you asked about music. You didn't ask about painting. That's the painting part. When it comes to the music, it's a similar thing now with technology. I don't have a band. I haven't had a band now for 2 or 3 years. But I've had one throughout. I've had bands throughout my life, and I love playing in bands. But for now, I'm doing my own work individually, so which is good because you don't have to check ideas from any other members. There's lots of really interesting sources online. Obviously, as we all know, with Creative Commons, up to being able to record your own riffs and repeat them, to overtrack them, to be your own producer, frankly. So it's like you trust your own ears, you know how to arrange something. It's all of it's about confidence and what can you chuck away and leave in and going, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And the answer to that is always should do whatever you think you should do. Get rid of something, keep it in, just do the should in your mind. People are just so scared to go with any of their instincts. And I'm like, you can always do it again. So I'll gather the things up and then do the music first. Usually start with some sort of a beat because I like my beats. So and if the track requires that, and then slowly add on the arrangements in a new kind of sort of songwriting style. In the past, I would sit with an acoustic guitar or piano and craft out a song. As I get older, it tends to be you can do this from all sorts of different angles where there's a riff lying around and you can put that to existing part to make a new kind of song, which is the Beck approach, I suppose, who's an influence for sure. So putting them together like a collage, so to bring the art back in, it is very much oral collage, what I do with the music these days, without sounding unbelievably pretentious about it, which that did. So
I have a random question I would like to ask you. When you make music and you combine the riffs together, I'm learning more about indie artists and how they make songs, and I've tried, and I would have to really study very hard to do it to be successful, I think. But when you make music, do you see the music in color?
Synesthesia.
Yes.
I love it. But Kristin Hirsch of the Throwing Muses is a heroine of mine since I was 14, and she has this. She's been talking about it for 20 odd years, and she hears the music, she sees color, and that's how she writes her songs, and how she's done 20 albums. I don't have this to my knowledge. It doesn't. I don't have interfering sort of senses, I suppose. I think they're quite separate. But I get all kinds of vibes with music. I just don't necessarily attach them to a sense, except the ears, which I did really. It gets you moving though, so I mean that's a kind of a synesthesia as well.
It is, yeah. The feeling.
This happens to you then, does it possibly? Or
yes, depending on the music. If I'm like just listening to listen, it's different. But like when I'm really concentrating and I'm really feeling the beats and just the music and everything, I actually see a visualization of like color. Like sometimes it's like dancing, and that's sometimes where my paintings come from.
Wow, that's beautiful. So, and it's special. It is special, I guess, because I don't, and I'm sure a lot of people watching will be like, "Wow, can't understand it." Lovely.
Yeah, it's always hard to like when I see it, it's hard to like correctly make my hands replicate it. You know what I mean? So I just sort of do whatever they think. Like I literally just stop my brain and let my hands do the things with the paintings and like add like I do the best they can essentially. But I wasn't aware that everyone doesn't have it. I didn't know that. I thought everyone was like that.
That's the mystery of the human mind, isn't it? We all have these.
Yeah.
Is that a red? Is that a purple behind you? I don't know. It looks purple to me.
Yeah.
You know, I want to ask both of you actually, what or who are your biggest influences in your art?
Me or?
Yeah, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I always try not to say David Bowie because it's so predictable from me. I think almost any of my friends, but what's the point in lying? When it comes to music,
amazing.
he's a massive influence, and so it's hard not to be. Picasso, I adore, as you might be able to tell from behind me. I also know a lot of very obscure artists, which I don't want to bore your listeners. Well, I can give them one, can't I? Sort of Hans Hofmann is an American abstract expressionist who's not well known, but he's absolutely my visual hero. And give you one more, Mr. Dylan Thomas, the Welsh poet, is a poet. I do the writing too, don't forget, and he's poetry as well, and he's absolutely gorgeous to me, his work. So there's three for you. Lots of women as well, by the way. Like I said, Kristen Hirsch earlier, but that's three just to answer truthfully.
What do you think?
I honestly don't know if there's a specific person. So the way I see it with artists is because the human mind is so many multi-layers, and sometimes people do things because they're forced to, or it's not necessarily where their feelings are. You can usually tell with the piece they're doing it because their whole soul and body and emotion is in it. And that I'm more responsive to that with different artists. Like I'll go to a museum. I went to one in Albany, New York, when I graduated college, and I don't remember the name of the artist, but the way that they did the painting, and it was like, it was it's a museum, so it was a very old painting. And it was just the way they did it in such pale blues and like lights, and it looked like chalk, but it wasn't chalk. It was just absolutely fascinating. My face was like this far from the painting. I was afraid I was gonna like breathe too hard on it. And people were like watching me, like, is she gonna mess up this old painting? But I was just so fascinated looking at the brush strokes and like, how did you do this? And, like I'm that weirdo. But I don't know. I didn't know the name of the artist. I couldn't remember. And like that's the same for music. I listen to all different kinds. I listen to classical, instrumental, country, like every genre, disco, 70s, 60s, and earlier. But I don't look for, yes, I listen to certain artists, but I listen to a certain feel that it has. So it's, for me, it's not names, it's how they represent the project.
Nice.
That's the synesthesist approach to art and creativity going on, and I've probably got the categorical approach going on. And let's not say it's a male and female perspective, but it might have some things in there about that, or just people. I enjoy to put the artist in a certain frame, which I might have been given by someone else, to sort of go, this is how to deal with what's in front of me or what I'm listening to. Otherwise, and lots of people do that, and that's how the art world continues. But when it comes to what you're talking about, is actual appreciation of the actual thing, which is whoa, that's dangerous. We're actually appreciating the actual thing. Well, we can't describe that, So yeah, it's about the difference between the industry that I'm talking about and the actual thing that you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, it's mine is a little bit more chaotic in the sense of, like, when you have a conversation, if you're at an art museum and another artist comes up to you and they're like, yeah, who's your favorite? And be like, dude, the world's my favorite. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's very dangerous.
Yeah. And it's got a lot to do with the right and left brain as well, because here I am categorizing again. It's like with the left brain, it's more systemic and analytical, like I'm talking about, and the right is, people will say chaotic, but chaotic's not quite it. It's just well, it's creative. It has its own sort of spiritual life. You know, the right
Yes.
brain purely. This is what lots of neurologists say, not me. And the stammer comes from the chaos of the right. Interfering with the logic of the left and saying it shouldn't be that tight and this sort of thing. So, and I think quite a lot of exciting art comes from the middle place. With Mr. Bowie again, his whole thing was about his expressive, raw thing that you're talking about, and trying to put structures around them. And the tension between that is where it got really exciting, where you're like, is he doing a country or soul song here? I don't know. And because it was that, but because he kept a tune in there to keep it successful, it was compelling, you know? So
Yeah. It's like using the known algorithms, as Brittany you say sometimes, and mixing it with that creativity and like toeing the line on both sides because you know it works, but you also like throw in some like whimsicalness. They're like, oh, what's happening to my brain right now?
yes, yeah.
Art
Just a
is
bit of
happening to your brain.
You know what?
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, I actually, what is your guys' feeling about the role of art and music in addressing societal issues?
I don't understand the question.
I can have a go if you want.
Okay, well, let's think about this. You know how a lot of religious people might say that some music is influencing their children to do bad things, some music is influencing people to be more spiritual, or it's playing a part in the political realm of our society. And so what do you think the role
Oh, she paused.
She's frozen.
Yeah, no, it's her internet. There you are.
So I froze. Okay. So I'm just trying to get your guys' opinion on what the role is of art and music in our society. Like, because we do look at music, a lot of music, John Lennon, a lot of his was very political, and that did influence a whole generation of people. So what do you think today the role of art and music is in society?
Yeah, okay, I'll go. John Lennon didn't do any political music. He did give Peace a Chance, which was political one. The politics was put on. It was a frame by the media, by his agents, to make him political, because he was so difficult to sell after the Beatles and with Yoko. They're like, what do we do with this guy? Let's make him a C&D hippie peacenik. So they strung it around him, and then he went along with it because it was quite popular. I personally think that the whole of art being useful in the social issues has been overdone. I think we talked about this before, but anyway, it's like it's an overdone thing for identity politics and everything else. You have a new president coming in now who's got in because people are sick of identity politics and woke. I'm not sure about in your country. It looks like it. They certainly are in mine. And it's like art has its own value, as Rebecca's sort of hinting towards. It doesn't need to sell itself on the back of social issues just to have a value. That's been done for 25 years over here. Like when I first went to university in 97, they sat us in the front of the first lecture was everything that you do here must be in the service of business. This was pretty much in the lecture. All the art you do is wonderful, well done, but it's in the service of business. And I stood up and said, what are you talking about? I'm not here in the service of business. I'm here in creativity. And they looked at me and went, you're going to be difficult, aren't you? And I'm like, apparently it looks like so, yes. And that went on. And that's what it was all based upon. That was the melding of education and business together in the late last century. And now we're living through it now. And journalists want to find stuff to hang stuff on art in order to make it good for the social benefit. And it's a perfectly fair question, because that's what journalists do, Brittany. It's just that I am now sort of almost involved in kicking that idea to death because it's so suffocating for artists. It's, just let the art be itself and put some madness around it, but not the social uses, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean I definitely agree with that too. I mean, some pieces. I mean, art is meant to express the artist's opinion and thoughts and etc. I mean, it depends on the perspective. If the journalists perceive it as a political piece or saying that it's doing this doesn't mean it actually is. It's just their perspective. And the only problem is that a lot of people believe that one opinion. I mean, that's the whole thing about journalism and stuff like that. Like some of the crap that comes out is just outrageous, honestly, in my opinion. But the point of art is, yes, it's meant to make a statement, but it's not meant to veer someone's opinion. You can't stomp out a coal that's already there. Like, we all have parts of ourselves that are either explored or they're not. The point of art and music is to give you the potential to explore it. Whether or not you explore it yourself is your decision, your choice. And I mean, that's talking about if parents are like, this music is going to change my kid. Well, your kid's already thinking about it, so it's not the music changing it, it's the idea behind it and like following that path. Like, as a parent, you need to parent and like take care of, like, get it in front of it, or like accept them more. And it has to do with a lot of psychological things. But I think as an artist, it's for our personal outlets to share with other people. So if other people feel the same way, they have something similar to latch onto. Does that make sense? I don't know if any of that made sense.
No, I get what you're saying. I actually was thinking right now about Kanye West. He said once that doing his music is a way to just get his emotions out, just feel what he's feeling. And there is a line. I know that a lot of media outlets will be like, but if you're an artist and people follow you, you need to be careful what you're saying so you don't put somebody over the edge. What do you say to that? Sean. No,
yeah, I have to think about that. I need to think about this answer.
If an artist says, I've written this song because I intend for it to push for you to go and kill yourself off the back of it, right? If he says that, then there could be an argument for incite to violence. Everything else is like just the listener doing it to them, making their own choices. If there's material in the work that I keep coming out with my examples, don't I? But Nick Cave is another major hero, and Nick Cave has made 40 years worth of songs about killing young women, basically, without trying to like polish his work too much. I'm sure he'll agree with me. And but we don't hear about him going out and doing this stuff, And so when it comes to cancel culture, he's hilarious to listen to because he talks like I am now, in an Australian accent, much better looking hair and things. And it's like, but he's really, really on this subject really, really well. I cannot, I mean, even if I did do a picture or a song about suicide explicitly, why not? It's a perfectly reasonable theme, or self-harm in any sense. If the person takes that as encouragement, that's very sad. And it's their strange interpretation, which could go 200 different ways amongst anybody. And I should still be allowed to talk about what's a human aspect of life, and even hint towards. Who knows where you could stop with cancelling that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are very popular, like, I love my artists, but I don't love every single song that they've done. And I'm just like, skip. Crazy.
Nick Cave is a little crazy, but his music is really good.
It's like that fine line we were talking about.
Well, the good stuff in art tends to be crazy. I mean, the crazier you get, the bigger podcasts you do. I mean, I don't sort of make any claims to be particularly crazy. That's entirely like a fence. It's taken, it's not given. He's exactly the same. And when you write on the edge, the Eminem who's had, you know, one of yours, is whatever you think about him, he was an amazing rapper, and he had an incredibly powerful few years of making music, and it is bloody interesting to listen to, and but unbelievably controversial material. I mean, it puts Nick Cave's sexism in a different bracket, right? So it's like, and I haven't heard about a million people going out there and copying the Stan story. So it's, you know, America, if I may, is the world leader in freedom. Obviously, we all know that freedom of speech and freedom of art, which is inside that. Yeah. Britain has to learn from America in terms of freedom of art. We invented the Enlightenment, where, you know, we took art away from religion, and then America invented modern art by taking it away from England and saying we're away from the monarchy now, and we're going to do real individual-based work. And now I work in that individual-based work realm, which you've given us. Do you know what I mean? So there's a real, as does a lot of Europe. So there's this lovely symbiosis. The media gets inside and tries to make news and stories and trouble, which is okay. As you say, Rebecca, it's bloody infuriating, but it's also a market which, as long as you're awake to the market, and when it gets involved in politics, we all become a bit antsy, you know, like we lose friends and all sorts. But when it comes to freedom of expression and art, I won't be shut up on it, as any good American won't be, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Not to put words in your countryman's mouth or anything. You know.
Well said.
I want to know, what do you think are the biggest challenges for independent creators now, like in today's world, and how can we overcome those?
Me? Okay. We are at the pest of the algorithm now. The algorithm is the boss.
Yeah.
Like as I was talking about my technique earlier, I make my own decisions, but the algorithm, if you want it to be absorbed, you want it to be listened to, and I wouldn't be so bothered about being absorbed and listened to if there weren't fucking millions of artists all over the world. Excuse my French. It's like, you know, there's a lot of work out there, right?
Yeah.
So you need to make something interesting and special to sort of go beyond that, just past your own name. So it's like then, and that's when the outrage starts to come in, because that'll get automatic sort of attention. But are they getting attention for your work or because of the outrage? And the algorithm controls that. Elon Musk and Zuck know that. And we're operating now within their new industry. I think it's better than the old one, by the way. It's better than the old ivory tower art world, which is even harder to penetrate. At least we're in this kind of dogfight of, you know, but it's, if you're not prepared to go to a really weird place, I think it can be very difficult to get any kind of notice. But as long as you don't stop, as long as you keep going, doing your thing, it will work itself out in the end. Even if you're not a millionaire because of it, or even paying your rent because of it, you can still balance these things into your life to make something because you really want to do it, you know? That's how I do it anyway.
Yeah.
My kiddos always talk about how they're like, well, don't worry, you might get famous.
Did you say when you die you might get famous? Is that what you said? You know, I thought the same thing yesterday.
People are like, wow, they were really talented. We should have noticed them before.
Yeah. I was. That's it. I was thinking of Jane Austen.
Other.
Yeah, like, you know, like any of the writers, you know, that are very well known now, and they were not when they were alive, and then they passed away, and all of a sudden, like, you know, Pride and Prejudice is, you know, like just like it's done so fascinating. I mean, even like artists, like not even just writers, but like painters. I mean, so many. I can't think of the one in particular who. I mean, because Da Vinci was like really very popular in general because he's ahead of his time. But there was one in particular, the one Monet, the one that cut off his ear. Is that
Van Gogh?
Thank you. Yeah. He became like so many, like he became famous later on. You know, what I mean? Everyone was like, "Who is this man? Who is this weird man painting these things?" And later they're like, "This is beautiful." So like it's just so finicky. I'm like, when we die, everyone's gonna be like, this was the best unique pieces ever of their time, and we didn't know, and now there's no more. Joke's on you guys.
Well-
Since we're talking about old artists, I'm like, I've met some people. I have had goals, okay. Like I wanted to meet Bauhaus. I got to meet Peter Murphy and Daniel Ash and David J. That was like very exciting, but I did not get to meet Bowie before he died. That was one of my things that I really, he was my dad's idol, one of my idols. And I'm like, that's sad. I really wanted to meet him. So I would love to have been able to work with him, even though he's not here anymore. That would be a dream come true. Is there any artist, living or dead, that either one of you, Sean, like who would be your dream collaborative project?
I hate working with other artists. I'm sure it'd be brilliant working with Rebecca. That would be fabulous. But how about Mr. Marcel Duchamp, the guy, if you know what I'm talking about? He invented conceptual art in France 100 and so years ago, with the urinal and the bicycle pump on a and the large glass. He was a deeply pretentious Frenchman who kind of gave it all up at about 50 to play chess forever. But he's brilliant in the sense of he's sort of the ultimate cool of art, and he said it's all in the mind. And so he was quite fun, and I would definitely collaborate with him just to have a photo taken. I wouldn't want to collaborate with Picasso because he's too busy and he'd just be overtaking you everywhere and going off and doing his own thing anyway. Artist living, how about Bob Dylan? But what fun. But I tell you who, Kate Bush, I get her out of retirement and do a song with her. That would be amazing. Kate Bush is a absolute legend.
So talented. Yeah. Amazing. Yes.
There's a lot of people that I'd be happy to collaborate with out there, but they tend to be now people that I have worked with or that I'm in contact with. I mean, you just said that you didn't get to meet Mr. Bowie to work with. I saw him live in 1995 on the Outside tour. And if you sort of see somebody 30 feet away, like on stage, does that include meeting him? I don't know. I felt like I met him.
In a way.
You experienced.
I've met Bowie.
That's so funny.
What about you? Like, I could say, I don't know. I wouldn't say Anais Nin. I mean, I like. I've been, I like Anais Nin, but I'm like, I don't know that I'd want to collaborate with you. I like seeing this from afar, perhaps. Virginia Woolf, very interesting. But what about you, Becca? Is there anyone that?
I'm not sure. I mean, when it comes to art, when it comes to painting, I like to be solo because they're just. I wouldn't be able to mentally handle other people in like like I need to stay out of my art. Like I'll show you when I'm done. Like it's too much. I get too much in my head. When it comes to my writing, I mean, I think that would be really cool. It's just my writing style is so different because it's method writing, but I would absolutely love, like I grew up with Buffy and they had, their comic books and their multiple different chapter books and they had multiple different writers. So I would love to attempt to, I don't have anyone particular in mind, just in general, like collaborate writing with somebody. In film, I would absolutely give anything to collaborate with Dakota Johnson, to be honest. Dakota Johnson, she is such an authentic individual. She's so funny, and she has a very good eye and mind as a producer and a director. I mean, I don't have a lot of high hopes for people in general, just because, like, they may have one or two great things, but doesn't mean that's going to continue into other areas, or it will continue like one and done until it's not one and done. So my expectations are pretty low. Like my bar is down here. Like I honestly don't know. I don't know. I feel like anyone else I could pick a name from individuals that have long passed that are no longer living, but I also feel like our personalities would mesh and clash.
That's kind of interesting that you mentioned Dakota Johnson. I'm not massively up on my films. I do try, but it's like, since you mentioned somebody living and now and younger, I'm going to say Sabrina Carpenter. I'd love to work with Sabrina Carpenter on a pop
She
video.
seems like a lot of fun. Yeah.
She seems like a lot of fun, and I think I think I'd have a good old cameo in one of her pop songs.
And she
Painting
seems so nice. I mean, of course, I only have the internet, but like, she seems like such a lovely person.
The song "Please, Please, Please" is one of the catchy things on my Spotify. I can't lodge it out of my head, but I know what you mean.
So I want to ask Sean, like, what is one thing that your fans might be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, if they don't know everything by now, I don't know what on earth I could possibly. Well, I don't know. My fans or people. I don't have fans. I have people who read my stuff. My actual given name is Ben. It's not Sean. I actually added Sean to the start of my name when I was 20 because I couldn't say my actual name Ben. Then I would have a real block on it like that. So I added Sean because I could say it and it had some Irish blood. And then I changed by deed poll. So I've been officially Sean since 95. But it's not actually my Christian name. I don't have a Christian name anyway. I wasn't christened, but it's not even my first name. But I have them all now in my passport, you know. So
I love it. I love it so much.
I don't know if you knew that, but Sean, Becca and I are working on a movie. She wrote a right now it's a trilogy, but I think you're working on the fourth book, right?
I am, yeah.
And we're in the process of turning the first book into a feature film. And there's supposed to be 5 films after that. And we are filming in Sweden. We'll be filming next year. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I'll come.
Great.
If you want a character, you talked about Buffy earlier on, didn't you? If you want the character like the professor and that to come and patronize all the young women over their shoulder, I'll do that. Put a pair of glasses on.
I actually have a role. His name is Gregory, and I always pictured him to be British. I call him the butler, but he's actually not the butler. Like, I just don't know what else to call him. And he's quite savvy, and he's like low key, very good. I'll send Brittany to send you the info, and maybe we can get you a
Gregory
thing on there.
Is marvelous. Weekend in Sweden.
Yes.
At your disposal. Sounds amazing.
Yeah. Like 5 or 6 lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
You're like, let's do it.
You know, life should be fun. That's what it should be. You know what? I want to thank both of you for being here today. This has been a lot of fun, actually. Before we go, I want to remind all of our indie creators out there that Zarlaquan is here to support you. I'd love for you to go to zarlaquan.com and submit your work. Whatever visual art you have. If you have a short film, if you have a feature film, music video, a series, we'd love to showcase it on Zarlaquan. We do have free, non-exclusive options, so you can keep your work on YouTube and just send us the link and we will promote it on Zarlaquan for you. Connect with our community. We're on all the socials. Come and check us out. We like to help indie independent creators as much as we possibly can. Thank you everybody for watching, and join us next week for more Monday Madness.
Yeah.
Yay. All right, I'm gonna